With its introduction in Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii, the Switch Axe was the first of its kind. Being the first morphing weapon in the mainline series, the Switch Axe has two special forms. The standard form is the axe, and it has a long reach for the cost of slow attacks. At the press of a button, the weapon will switch into sword mode. This mode grants faster and stronger attacks for the cost of movement speed and a much shorter reach. Mastering the Switch Axe requires thinking ahead in battle, knowing when it's best to stay at a distance with the axe or get up close and personal with the sword. Keep that sharpness high and those files recharged. We're going to need our sword energy to show off this oldest new kid in the Monster Hunter series, starting with Monster Hunter Tri up to the Iceborne expansion. After completing the village tour in Monster Hunter Tri, the Switch Axe is now a crafting option at the smithy. Every game after Tri starts off with the Switch Axe already unlocked. Taking some elements from the gun lance, the Switch Axe can come in different variations when it comes to sword mode, and these variations come in file type. Files are pretty important to the weapon, but they only affect sword mode attacks. The most popular and common type, power files give a 25% attack boost to sword attacks, 20% in portable 3rd and 3 ultimate. Element files also grant a 25% boost for elemental damage. Paralysis files are a bit uncommon, but they give a paralysis attribute when in sword mode. Dragon files, unsurprisingly, add dragon damage to sword slashes. With an X input, the hunter will bring the axe over their head and do a forward chop. This is the Switch Axe's strongest single-hit move, so this is excellent for waking up monsters. It also has excellent reach upwards for hitting pesky wyverns out of the air. Moving while pressing X will do a forward stab. From here the hunter can do the overhead slice and the rest of its combos. Pressing X after the overhead slice will do a sideways swing. This attack is faster but much weaker than the overhead slice. This is also the unsheath attack, and pressing A will do the same move. After the sideways slice, an upswing will be performed. Pressing start would go straight into the upswing if you don't want to combo into this. The upswing also has great reach upwards while being a fast attack. Just watch out as this can send teammates flying. The main purpose of this move is to lead into the hack and slash. Spamming X after the upswing will do the hack and slash. With each swing, a bit of stamina will be used up. This attack stops when the stamina runs out or when the player stops pressing X. Trying to hop out of this combo will also end it. Pressing R while standing still will switch the axe's form to be a sword. While in this form, the weapon will use the file's energy plus granting the weapon Mind's Eye. For weapons that require awakening for the element, sword mode will auto-awaken it. When the energy runs out, the hunter is forced to switch it back to axe mode in a lengthy animation. When the bar lowers to a certain point, switching back or putting the weapon away will have the word reload on the files. Trying to use the sword mode will then prompt the hunter to reload a part of the file. The file will also slowly recharge while in axe mode. Pressing R again while standing still will morph the weapon once more. These are the slowest methods to switch between forms. We'll get to the shortcuts soon enough. Pressing A will do a downward slice. Pressing it once more will do an upward swing. Pressing X and moving will also do the downward slice, and attacking after a roll will do the upward swing. This combo is excellent for damage, and the hunter is able to hop out of the combo when needed. Moving the analog during the combos will move the hunter a bit into that direction as they slash. Standing still while pressing X will do the sideways slice. This can also be performed by pressing X after the downward slice. Pressing X again will continue the combo. This is weaker than the A infinite combo, but its real reason is for the shortcuts. Pressing start while in sword mode will have the hunter thrust the sword in front of them. This can also send teammates flying. Pressing X or start repeatedly will combo into the elemental burst with enough presses. This does a good deal of damage but leaves the sword file almost empty. Failing to spam the button long enough will just end the combo. Holding back on the analog while mashing the X button will prematurely end the combo and go straight into the elemental burst. This takes up less file gauge than going through the entire combo, but this also does less damage than charging it up fully. After the burst, the Switch Axe reverts back to X mode. After the forward thrust, pressing R will do a morphing attack into sword mode. This is best used close to the gap while getting ready to do the sword combos. Pressing R after the sideways chop in sword mode will switch back into axe mode with another sideways chop. So this is a great way to get into the hack and slash attack. Pressing R, X, and A when the weapon is sheathed will go directly into a downward swing with the sword. This is the fastest way to get into the sword mode. You may have noticed that a lot of the Switch Axe's moves have long recovery times. Like the Great Sword, the Hunter needs to roll or hop to cancel the recovery animation. Later games make this window to get out of attacks much easier, but this is a crucial skill when using either mode. The Elemental Burst is performed by pressing X plus A and mashing the X button. The upswing got changed to a combination of X plus A or triangle plus circle, with multiple A inputs doing the hack and slash. Pressing X or triangle will do the powerful overhead slice to finish the combo. It is also much easier to hop out of this combo in Portable 3rd and 3U. Using the move and try leaves the Hunter very vulnerable in most situations. There are also two new file types, Poison and Exhaust. Poison is similar to Paralysis, but poison. Exhaust is an interesting one as it turns the sword into a cutting impact weapon. It's difficult to pull off on some monsters, but it can KO monsters if you slash at their head enough while in sword mode. The Switch Axe can use up a lot of sharpness when using the hack and slash or the sword mode's infinite swings. Plus, with sword mode having Mind's Eye, it can be easy to chip away sharpness that way as well. Most Switch Axes will greatly benefit from having more attack and or affinity. Element or status up are pretty niche skills by comparison, but if you can make it work, then go for it. Challenger plus 2 is the safer alternative to gain a lot of damage potential in later high rank and G rank. Gloves Off is only here to promote the hack and slash spam when the skill activates. The notable thing that is absent from the Switch Axe is a shield, so having high grade earplugs would bring in some good windows to deal quick damage whenever a monster decides to roar. Evade skills is a handy option as well, since the Switch Axe kinda relies on hopping to the side or rolling to get away from attacks. Not a super important skill, but focus does increase the speed of the file's recharge. Pressing X while in midair will do the overhead chop in axe mode and a downward swing in sword mode. It is also possible to do a morph attack mid-air with the press of R. If you need to reload, that is also possible while in midair. Pressing X after a roll will do the upward swing, making it easier to get into the hack and slash. Pressing R during the hack and slash will do a powerful roundhouse slash. Pressing R once more will do a morph attack into sword mode. The second X input now does the sideways slice. With a third X input, the Hunter will do 2 slashes with the sword for the price of 1 sword attack. This combo is pretty strong, but a little awkward if you're used to the infinite combo, as this attack will move the Hunter a lot. Regular combo is changed to be X, A, X. Plus, after the double slash, pressing X plus A will lead into the elemental discharge. Generations changed the sword's infinite combo back to the X combos. Generations Ultimate made it so when morphing from axe to sword, if the sword has a status file, it will be a guaranteed status hit. Striker style loses the hack and slash finisher and sword mode's double sword slash. Besides that, the Switch Axe is unchanged. Aerial style takes away the forward thrust in axe mode and the elemental discharge while on the ground. Another morph shortcut was added. Pressing R after an upward swing will morph the axe to sword mode. Vaulting off a target in axe mode allows a downward chop. Sword mode auto attacks when doing a vault, with the option to do a downwards attack with X. You can also slightly reposition while midair. Sword mode can also do an elemental burst mid-air if so desired. This does a bit more damage than a regular grounded elemental discharge. Adept style is similar to Striker in the fact that the hack and slash roundhouse finisher is removed, but it also has the upswing morph shortcut in Generations Ultimate. Sword mode loses the upward slice, so it's pretty difficult to stay in place while doing sword combos. Doing an Adept Evade will do the roundhouse finisher in axe mode and the double upward slice in sword mode. Alchemy style is a very interesting way to play Switch Axe. X inputs do axe combos while A does sword moves. When alternating forms, the weapon will automorph depending on which button you press, so the only thing you gotta focus on is which form is better for what situation. When needing to reload, the Switch Axe will do a nifty quick reload similar to a certain Hunter art. You can also press R plus X plus A for it. When not in Valor mode, the Switch Axe cannot do the roundhouse finisher or the double sword slash along with all morph attacks. Tapping Y and then X in Axe mode will do the roundhouse slash, pressing R will morph to sword. When in sword mode, tapping Y and then X will do an upward slice, pressing A will do the double sword slash, with R morphing back into Axe mode. When in Valor mode, the Hunter can do the Valor step and the sword gauge will refill faster than normal. Pressing R will now do a powerful morph attack. This can be comboed. Doing the elemental discharge will now have the sword burst twice. This is weaker than the regular elemental burst, but can be cancelled much sooner. With a quick reload, the Switch Axe's file gauge is restored. At higher levels, the file is completely restored along with some extra affinity to sweeten the deal. There is a 25 motion attack in this Hunter art that can aid in getting into the sword's combos. This Hunter art got changed in Generations Ultimate so wouldn't be activatable so quickly and frequently. Unleashing the file's true potential, the sword flares up, giving it a power boost until the file runs out. Attacks will not lower the gauge, so you're free to do as many attacks as you want until the time runs out. Using energy charge will lengthen the time Demon Ride is active, plus their effects stack. So at level 3 for both arts, that's 30% affinity plus a 20% boost in the file's effects. Trance Slash does an unrelentless barrage of slashes that alternate between sword and axe mode, finishing the combo with an elemental burst. You do need the file gauge to be filled for the burst, or else the combo ends awkwardly. Having Demon Ride active will change a finisher to be stronger. This attack covers a lot of ground, with chances to move, but it can also trip teammates while doing so. On top of that, this Hunter art stacks with Gen U's Tempest Axe, making the starting swings faster with more hits. After 2 swings, the Switch Axe's axe mode are now much faster. The unsheath attack is faster with the thrust swing being 25% faster. The hack and slash combo stamina use is halved with the second swing being 10% faster and anything beyond the third being 25% faster. After the third swing, pressing X will now do a strong finisher. Monster Hunter World simplified the Switch Axe with morphing attacks being able to be done after most attacks. When morphing, a bit of file gauge will be restored. The Hunter can even morph after rolling and pressing R2. There is now a gauge that fills up when attacking in sword mode. Once this outline is filled up, this is the amped state, file attacks will now hit twice, with the elemental burst now latching onto the monster to finish off the elemental burst. This is the zero-sum discharge. Axe combos are relatively the same, but the bread and butter sword combo is now triangle 3 times that loop back around with the triangle inputs. Pressing circle in between the triple triangle inputs is a better option for damage while in sword mode, however. There are 2 forms of Fade Slashes that are great for evasion. After attacking in Axe mode, holding back on the analog and pressing circle will do a backwards Fade Slash. This can be looped by Fade Slashing, pressing triangle, and Fade Slashing again. After attacking in sword mode and pressing R2 along with holding back on the analog, a morphing Fade Slash will be performed. So this can be used to be evasive as well as restoring a bit of the file gauge. Pressing circle will do the double sword slash, but pressing it once more will do the Heaven Sword Flurry. While it doesn't deal good damage, it boosts the amp gauge a fair bit with each swing. If the Hunter wants to, they can do an elemental discharge after the Heaven Sword Flurry attack. When sliding, pressing triangle will do a rising slash with the axe, pressing R2 will do a rising swing with the sword instead. The Hunter can attack once more after R2 or even do the elemental discharge. They don't get anything flashy for running off of walls, just an axe swing with triangle and a sword swing with R2. Using the clutch claw attack in axe mode will do a 2-hit tenderizing stab. Having the sword out will do the same attack when not in amped mode. When doing an elemental discharge, the Hunter can press L2 to fire the clutch claw and latch onto the monster. If they're in the amped state, they will do the zero-sum discharge when latched on. When attacking in axe mode, if the slinger is loaded, they can fire a slinger burst. It is also possible to morph after a slinger burst. After 3 or so swings of the hack and slash, pressing triangle will do the heavy axe slam. When this attack connects, a bit of the amp gauge glows. This shows that the axe mode will now do more damage towards staggering monsters. If it's DPS you're looking for in a weapon, the switch axe is the answer. Its attack speed is comparable to that of the longsword, and sometimes even faster with hunter arts. It's the first of its kind for the series, trying out a new method of using morphing attacks and micromanaging almost 2 completely different weapons was a dip into the waters that would become the inspiration for the charge blade. World did a pretty great job at making this weapon a lot more simple for those new to the series. Having Morse fund a part of the gauge instead of relying on time to recharge really enforces switching forms to better suit the situation in order to attack accordingly. Even if it is more simplified, knowing when to use both forms is a learning curve in itself, but the payoff of a more efficient hunt while looking super stylish during it is an excellent payoff. No matter the game it's in though, having Mind's Eye while on swords mode really helps the early game immensely, but still make sure to keep a lot of whetstones handy. It's not as bad as dual blades, but it can get pretty bad in longer hunts. If you ever wanted a more advanced Blade Master weapon that doesn't have a shield, the switch axe may be for you. Until next episode! Hey everyone, it's Solaria again. Did you miss me? Because I sure as heck missed you. Josie, thank you so much for letting me narrate this episode of Weapons to Generations. Josie puts a lot of heart and soul into these, and I'm honored and happy that I can do my part in helping to create such an awesome series, because I know these are a lot of work, and just being able to do just this little part I know is just a huge weight off of his shoulders. If you want to catch me live and see some of my content, you can catch me over at twitch.tv/Solaria75, where I stream Switch, PC games, but I also play Monster Hunter and all that jazz. Or if you want to catch Josie, you can catch him live at twitch.tv/JojoJosie, or you can subscribe to him on YouTube and be able to catch more of the Weapons to Generations videos. He does a lot of work with these, and they're really good, so hopefully we'll see you around for more episodes, and hopefully I will see you in a future episode. Bye everyone! Pressing A will do a downward slice. Pressing it once more will do an upward swing. Pressing X and moving will also do the downward slice, and attacking after a roll. Yeah, I can English. Pressing start while in sword mode will have the hunter thrust the sword in front of them. This can also send teammates flying. Pressing X or start repeatedly will combo into the elemental burst with enough presses. This does a good deal of damage, but leaves the sword file almost empty. Failing to spam the button long enough will just end the combo. Holding back on the analog while mashing the X button will prematurely end the combo and go straight into the elemental burst. This takes up less file gauge than going through the entire combo, but this also does less damage than charging it up fully. After the burst, the switch axe reverts back to axe mode. Axe mode. Most switch axes... Most switch axes... Oh, gee, that's a lot of S's in there, ain't it? Straggle I don't even know what that was. Axe combos are relatively the same, but the bread and butter sword combo is now triangle 3 times that loop back around with the triangle inputs. Pressing circle in between the triple triangle inputs is a better option for damage while in sword mode, however. What was that?